now is better. Sorry for this delay, and again I feel like I'm learning to use these tools and to have this live streaming done well. So today, actually tonight, I promised that I will show you my past works and how my portfolio evolved till I decided to create animation. So we will go back a bit, like 7 years ago or so. And I also share because I also bring some materials that my illustration have been published in, such as this book, or I also did a book for my mom as well. Comics books. I started a newspaper, so we will talk about this subject as well. And also some drawings that I used to do, as you see in my back. I still like to draw, this time with pen, but I usually in my school, when I started to draw, my teacher was mainly teach us ink drawing. So I have some ink drawings, original ink drawings here in my map. So let's get started. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But the plan is to show you, because some of the things I have them already on my website, and then to show you the real drawings here, and my few other, I don't know, first my beginning in animation as well. I haven't done much, but I think mainly everything evolved because of a lot of drawing projects, different projects as well, book illustration, editorials, and so on. Yes, this is what I'm going to show you tonight. And because this is mainly like a celebration to me, for those that are following me on Instagram, and maybe not all the people have time to be here online in this live streaming, but this video will be saved, so you have time to rewatch it, and I don't know, maybe after that you will, I don't know, ask me any questions. Okay, let's share my screen. Okay, so I'm on my website. I will show you one of my previous projects, as I already shared. illustration book that I did like a long time ago. I had to illustrate some interesting characters, and the book was about three girls that have a really long nose. So this is the book I already showed you. And when I started in a really dark way of illustrating this. So this was around 2016. And I decided to do these illustrations in ink and then to make them, to rework them in digital, to make some, I don't know, some improvements. Yes, this is, but I can also show you how an original artwork looks like. Just a moment. I have it here. Yep. So this was one of the work I did. So this work looks, this was made by hand, and then when I added in the book, this looks like, just a moment, this character. So yeah, I also have the original character, and then yeah, I love this book because it has a peculiar, a total different way of telling stories. For example, this illustration, this is a big size. I don't have it here because it's like bigger than A3, but it was a hard work. I had to work like more than a year for this illustration, for the entire book actually. And original ones, just a moment. For instance, this is look like that, and in the book, just a moment, it looks like that with, if you can see, yeah. So this was one project, and I have all the ink drawings here. This is another. I know October is for Inktober. I used to do Inktovers myself, and I also choose different subjects as well. But this book was like in 2016, so yeah, it's a long way. Let's skip and go to another project. Let's pick another one. Another. Okay, I'll go again here, and I will show you. Something from my animation portfolio from the past. For example, also from 2016 was this one, an isometric animation Basically, I decided I had my first cat in 2016, and it was unusual for us, and this was our room where we used to work, and she used to always wake up us around 5 o'clock in the morning. So I decided I have to illustrate this, and then I really wanted to uh, animate the moment with the cat that was so playful in the morning, and we were so like dead and unhappy because of that. And then, of course, we readapted, and we loved to have a cat in our house, especially when you work a lot. The cat is always uh, a pet that is really happy, and it's taking you out from, I don't know, negative moments. So yeah, this was one animation in 2016. Another animation in 2017 I loved to create was more. It was more like a minimalist animation, and I decided to create a few characters that are uh, in the growing like a flowers. Everyone is doing different activities. So this one is, I don't know, studying something on the laptop, and yeah, and has some flowers around it. And to me, it's more like a conceptual animation and approach than what I showed you in the book. After I created that book, I said to myself, I will never do it again because it takes so much to draw, um, more than a year with the ink, and I didn't felt really appreciated after doing so much hard work, and really bad. I was really bad paid um, after I finished this book. So yeah, this is basically like in the past one of my, it's not really first, because when I started I was exercising year after year after year. I was really curious about something else, and then after this animation I had some client work in for local brands, and I did some animation. This was, for example, for Eastern. I don't know, it's loading really hard. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's not loading. I will go back. Another animation I was doing is this one. I really, really love it. The feeling of winter, and again, my website is not really working today. Yes, perfect. This was the sketch. I still have this sketch. Basically, a girl that hugs a cat, and around cat you see a snowman. So this was the sketch with a pencil, and this is digital illustration, and then I created this animation. If it is loading, I can talk more about it. Why this animation is not loading? Yeah, probably it's too huge or something. I'm sorry about that. But basically the animation was about, it was like snowing a lot over the cat, and then the wind was taking off the snow from it. Perfect. This was one animation, and it was, I don't remember if I did it in Photoshop, this animation, and it was in something in another app, but I think Photoshop was, yeah. Another animation in 2018 also was a personal exercise with the hand and with the flower, with the spring flower. And then I decided to create more of this because I really loved the way someone gives you flowers, or when we are so excited to put the flowers in the vase. And I thought this hand is like a character. So yeah, this was like around 2018 I was creating this animation, but this time this animation was created mainly in After Effects, vector-based animation. Yeah, this is how was one of the exercise. And I think I had one animation with the cat, but I have it on Giphy. Just a moment. Wow, the internet is really this animation with the cat. Also, around the time I was creating this hand animation. But maybe on Behance. Yes, on Behance I still have the project with the cat, also vector-based animation. I decided to make stickers. If you can access them on Instagram or on other platforms if you search for my name, Loretta Isaac. So yeah, animation was always something that made me curious on how I would do things differently. So yeah, this was one project. Another personal project I started in, let me see. Oh, so this is an illustration. I made it for my mom. My mom is a violinist, so I thought it would be great to create an illustration with her singing on the violin, but on her new album. She never made the album, but she made this book. Let me just. This book. So yeah, I'm proud I did it. So this is my mom here. Yes. And then I had a crush over Solange album, new album called A Seat on the Table, and I decided I will illustrate her. And around that time I really was all over with my longboard, and I decided I will illustrate Solange in a different perspective. I dressed her in a Catherine Howard dress with, and the details here on her dress you can't see it, but it's a candy that you can have it only in Moldova, in the country I was born, Bucuria. And I printed this illustration only on small size. Just a moment. I have it here. In a postcard. I have it in the postcard like that. So yeah, another animation around this time, I think it was like 2018 already. We already had two cats, a black cat and a white cat. One was named Shiro, and another one was named Akira, after the Japanese movie Akira that I really love. And yes, we imagine this home with us drinking tea in the morning or coffee. So yeah, this was another animation. Around this time, uh, I created this postcard uh, um, for a local agency for the winter time, and because they had this interesting the agency was placed in an interesting space. It looked like apartment. It looked like it was inside of the apartment looked like a home that you will never imagine that in that house you it will be like two floors. I don't know, it was enormous space and really crazy. This is how I imagine everyone is going out and nobody is in the house anymore. So I think I painted this in a Photoshop, and then I created the animation in After Effects. And then I started to have some clients around this minimalist conceptual illustration and animation. For this was my first podcast, mother podcast here in Romania was launched. And I created these characters because the podcast was about the experience of women through motherhood, and each of the story was pretty different. And also, as we know, being a mother is a very difficult task and surprising one, I guess. And I also created these animations for them in After Effects, small loops they used for the podcast and for communicating the story. Yeah. And from time to time, I really liked to play with and to study different characters, to reinterpret some things. And this was created, I think, in Affinity Design. I still like to study a few things, but what I really like here, I was exploring more of textures than I was usually exploring in these minimalist shapes. Yep, let me go back here on my website. So then pandemia came, and I started to play more with Procreate, and then because of pandemia I started to come back to what I initially wanted to do, and by this I mean creating frame by frame animation. I don't know why my website is not charging the animation, so this is why I will show you here on Behance. I hope it will finally charge. Yeah, so this was made in Procreate. I was sitting in my room and I was thinking, wow, I can play in multiple forms and I can do a lot of things, imaginative things. I didn't have any plan yet, just playing and seeing how everything looks like. Why everything is charging really bad. We have to wait. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, let me know, because I may talk a lot, but I would love to interact with someone here from online. Yeah, it's not opening. Why? So yeah, this was like two characters looking in front of each other, and each one is having like a lot of noise in his head and having this mask. Yeah, I really loved also playing with the textures that Procreate is sharing, and also other textures that I was buying around that time. And wow, this is just really hard. This is how I decided I will play more and different. Yeah, and what is interesting that frame by frame animation gives you this. Of course, it's difficult to draw a lot of um, shapes, because you have to draw more than 100 to see the interesting results. But in After Effects, the shapes are colder. This is why I was thinking, I know all these apps, I know how to use them, and the animation feels totally different from frame by frame. Of course, minimalism has different approach and gives you different sensation when you animate, but frame by frame totally is it's my favorite techniques. Yep. So this was one project in Procreate. So this was in 2019 and 2020. With all that pandemia, I started to draw a comic book. And because I really wanted um, to study things around me, some reality, put it in different perspective, and this is how I decided to have a newspaper and to give it a name. So one of my first newspaper was this one, Escape Vehicle, and it really has a newspaper texture. So all the illustration around and after pandemia and yeah are here. Reinterpretation basically of from the real life. And after pandemia, I don't know how I got this problem with my voice that I still have. I have a problem with my vocal cords. I can't really speak too much. So I decided to illustrate my journey when I had to go to vocal therapist. I never thought there is one, a vocal therapist. So it was really funny, because when I got to the vocal therapist, that lady thought I was an opera singer because only opera singers have this problem, or teachers. So yeah, I illustrated that. I thought some moments in life deserve to be studied in your unique style, and I decided I would do it in comics style. So this is how I decided to do the second one. escape vehicle number 2, where I talk a lot the isolation after the pandemic, because basically you could get out but you couldn't see your friends a lot. So yeah, was the second one. Mm. And also during the pandemic, I love doing conceptual art, also animation, freestyle, draw by hand, frame by frame. And then I was thinking, God, I really love textures in all the apps that I use, especially in Procreate. And I decided I will join the Still Life. If you know the Instagram page Still Life, they are actually putting a photography where people can join to this challenge and can reinterpret each picture. So I joined this challenge uh, with the idea I will play without even thinking. I will play with the textures and with the color, not having having a lot of freedom, not thinking of the composition, how it looks, not thinking of the conceptual, not thinking that this illustration have a dedication on in any specific way, just thinking that I'm having this canvas in front of me and I'm going just play with all the textures that I never played before. So it was like a hunger of textures and color during that time. So, and few of these illustrations I sell them as an art print in my shop, and they look really vivid on paper as well. And they are basically food illustrations. So yeah, this and because of that I liked to go further. I mean, creating some still life with some abstract shapes. Yeah, these are the second comic I just showed you. So in 2021 I decided to do illustration with pandemia subject, after pandemia subject, but yes, the page is not opening. I wanted to show you that these illustrations are also animated. And around this time I decided I want to learn a new program where I would love to animate shapes more, to be more flexible. So this is how I started to learn Moho. Moho is an application on desktop, really interesting application where I best it was proper for me to learn how to use um, how to add bones on my characters. So I think After Effects has the same possibility, but for me was like easier um, to use Moho. It was, I don't know, more natural. I love the program, how everything is structured, and how these uh, bones are reacting, because you can also add some reaction to the bones, like for instance when the wind is over the plants or over the hair is, the effect is totally different on the joints, on the bones. So yeah, all of this was actually a real story. For instance, this is a story about someone told me that he met a lady that had a library at home only about dogs. So this was like insane to illustrate, to know she loves dogs, but also she reads only books about dogs or something that is about dog. So yeah, it was really funny. So then I had also this animation when we decided to go to a road trip with our friends, and the road was so bumpy, we can't, yeah, it was like crazy. So then I go back again, started to dive in more in frame by frame animation. Oh, hope this will charge soon. Let me know what you think, and if I speak too fast or if you have any curiosity. I know I had to do this on Instagram as well, but I do think I can't do a live streaming on Instagram and showing something at the same time. If I only can show or my face or my screen, so this is why I decided to do this streaming on YouTube and on Twitter, on Twitch. So yeah, this is another subject, was like more a personal diary. Um, all these animation are made, transformation animation are made in Procreate. I decided to um, experiment more and to combine things like concept art and freestyle animation. So this is how I came up with this animation with music. I don't know how I call it. Music note. Instead of music notes, you see some eyes. So yeah. Then, because I find really easy to work with plants and biologic elements, basically, with because they are really flexible in a way, and the texture, I mean, and how the plants and grass and everything around us um, evolves. I was thinking how I can do them more flexible, more abstract in how they move and how they transform. And yes, this is how I came up with these flowers in the vase that are moving really in a really different shapes. Yeah, and then I came up with this. When you work a lot and you try and you experiment, it's the mind is start to think and rethink things. And this is how I came up with this tree and with these clocks that clocks are ticking. And basically it's about global warming and how people, especially in the Christmas around Christmas, we cut this Christmas tree and we put them inside instead, let them grow outside. So yeah, this was one exercise. And then everything started to, in my head was like, I wanted to do more, I have more ideas, I want to experiment more, and it started to be fun. But of course this is not opening. Yep, sorry for that. Yeah, it's not open. Ah, okay, here. So then I started to create my portrait in a way and play more with textures and with simple shapes as well. And then I decided to transform how I can deconstruct some shapes. And here are some of my still life paintings. I decided it will be a really difficult task to work with each single texture to animate each single shape because each shape has a different texture. But it took me a while. But pandemia, I had time, and this is how I decided. Well, I really loved all this to create all this during this 3 years, I guess 3 or 4 years. And this is how I started to get different clients because of this animation of still life, flowers, and different abstract shapes that I was uh, always reinterpreting the composition and the illustrations that I already knew how to create them. And I started to um, think how to minimize a composition, but to keep that rich textures that I really like to bring in my compositions. So yeah, this is a few things that I've done in the past 3 years, and my latest animations you already know. I hope you know, for those that are following me on the Instagram. So I started to have different clients, editorial clients from Romania, from Scena Noa, and then I had the luck to work with Washington Post after that, and they all wanted animations, and also with Bon Appetit animation illustrations with a loop animation. So yeah, I was really happy that during these years I could exercise as well, and then I could get clients. Yeah, this is, for instance, an animation that speaks about uh, when someone wants to go in the summer and wants to have a nice email and telling that she's at the picnic or she's out of the office. And then I started to be And then I started to realize that my animation has a sort of messages like poetry. When you read a poetry has uh, some elements, speaks about something, and transform that um, feeling into something else. So this is how I created this animation, for instance. And this is about the amazing transformation between winter and spring. So yeah, this is how I made a definition for my I gave a title for my style, that I have a style where my animation style is a poetry animation, visual poetry. So yeah, and I decided I will do this forever. This is another animation. So yes, this is pretty much it. This is the animation I created this year, and yeah, let me just. Yes, this is one of animation that is longer, and I needed around 3 weeks to work on this first animation with the girl and with the girl that is transformed from a flower in a flower vase and so on. And I'm currently working on a new series. I thought to myself that okay, I was working a lot in these animations, and it's time for me maybe to move on and to try to do some longer animation, and maybe gaining more experience in, maybe one day I will create a animation series. um, yeah, this is one of my dreams basically. So what I'm currently working on is this animation in Clip Studio Paint that I didn't get the chance to finish. It is, just let me show you how this looks like. Basically, what I want to do is I want to take this animation to the next level. I want to make this flower grow more, and yes, to the left. So this is what I'm trying to do here. This is initially the girl already with all the flowers, and yes, and then everything is growing and the camera is moving into something else. Yeah, this is yeah, pretty much it about my work. I have more works to show, but I don't know if it's not too boring. Hello. If it's not too boring, and I just wanted to show you how diverse my style was during these years, and how many things and styles I was trying to, not to work, but it was my pleasure to try different things and try to evolve in another thing, and try to put some questions in my mind, because yeah, working in different styles and then trying to animate them, I think it was the difficult part for me, because yeah, it's like a lot to do. There are a lot of things to do, and it takes times to animate, also to understand how to animate them, and then to start to animate in a story. Yeah. So if you have any questions, this is pretty much it. I don't know if it wasn't too boring. Let me know what else. What are the other things are you curious to see from my past portfolio I can share? But other than that, these are my plans, and this was my live streaming for tonight. Yep. I will end here this live streaming. Um, See you next time. Thank you for watching and for taking part of this. And if you have any question, you can ask um, next time or in this video, because I will save it on the platform. So you will have chance to ask any questions that you want. Thank you again for joining me, and see you next time on one of my live streaming. Bye.